Right now, the Packers are heading to the NFC Championship game in California. Some advice from travel experts if you'd like to go and how to score the best deals.
And the city of Milwaukee getting ready for a presidential visit tomorrow on top of a Bucks game at the same time.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. As southern Wisconsin removes the snow and ice from our sidewalks and roadways from the weekend, more precipitation is coming.
That's right, in some form or another. For much of the week, in fact, meteorologist Dana Fulton here with a look at your first alert forecast. Dana?
It's nice that we're getting a few breaks in between these systems passing through. We're looking at a chance for some light snow to develop again tonight. May mix with some freezing drizzle for some areas further south, closer to the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. Here's a look at our high-resolution Dopplers. So we're starting to see some light flurries for Prairie du Chien and in Viroqua right now. This snow is going to continue to steadily move east, a pretty tight band. It moves through quickly, so we won't have much accumulation overnight. Here's a look just after midnight. It's passing through, and then by 6, 7 o'clock for your drive into work, it's out of here. This is light snow and freezing drizzle. We're focusing on the timing in the next few hours. So right around midnight, it passes through Madison and then ends early on Tuesday. This is really bringing less than an inch. Not a major event coming through, but enough that some slick spots might occur on the roads tomorrow morning. We'll take a closer look at what's ahead for the next few days. Our next snow chances in just a few minutes.
City of Madison plows will be back out tomorrow morning to continue work on residential streets. They say their work on main thoroughfares was completed yesterday. They are asking people to try and find off-street parking spots so they can plow more effectively.
And a reminder from the city to clear your sidewalks. You have until noon tomorrow before you could get a citation. Last year, the city gave out nearly 800 of them to people who didn't follow those rules. It's a $124 ticket for the first citation, $187 for the second, and prices only go up from there. For a list of the rules, you can head to our website, channel3000.com. As we celebrate last night's win, some of you may be considering a long weekend in San Francisco now that the Packers are heading west to face off against the 49ers in the NFC title game.
Madeline O'Neill spoke with a travel expert about what it will take to make it to California for the game on Sunday.
Charlotte and Eric, the travel agent I spoke with, says he recommends starting by looking at flights out of Madison, which really haven't gone up too much yet in price. But if you want the best deal, now is the time to book.
Go Pack!
We know Packer fans back their team, even if that means travel.
This is my 56th straight game, home and away, including the playoffs.
After Sunday's win over Seattle, Justin Sterna is excited to make that number 57.
I'll be there. So now I got to make arrangements now that it's been done. I take it one game at a time.
There's no advanced planning that can be done.
Now that we know for sure the Packers will be making the cross-country trip, if you want to leave the snow behind and travel along, Burkhalter Travel President Ed Manny says you better get on it.
The closer we get to this weekend, flights will start to sell out, and as that happens, as more people book, prices go up. So if you want to go, make your decision and book your flights.
To find the best deal, Manny says you'll want to play with dates you leave and return, and whether you plan to fly into San Francisco or San Jose, which is actually closer to Levi's Stadium. As of now, he says round trips out of Madison will cost you anywhere from about $500 to $600. Add in hotel cost, and Manny estimates the full trip will cost about $1,800 for a couple.
The closer you want to stay to the stadium, the higher the price is going to be, definitely.
I'm freaking excited!
That excitement carries over to those planning to stay here in Wisconsin.
We're excited to see what they can do.
Where many of us will be backing the Packers from the comfort of home.
Probably at home.
At home. Big screen TV. Surround, so.
I have high hopes for them.
As far as the tickets into the actual game go, Ticketmaster lists them at anywhere from $350 to a couple thousand, depending on the seat. Burkhalter Travel is planning to offer Super Bowl travel packages if the Packers win on Sunday. Those will be posted on their website.
All right, Maddie, thanks. And more football. President Trump taking center stage at the college football playoff national title game in New Orleans tonight. Before kickoff, he and the First Lady waved to the crowd before the national anthem as chants of USA broke out in the crowd. We'll have highlights from that game, time permitting, if it ends in time, later in sports. Tomorrow, President Trump will be here in Wisconsin. He's hosting a campaign rally at the Milwaukee Panther Arena at 7 p.m. That's the same time the Bucks will tip off a couple blocks away. Bucks opening the doors of the Fiserv Forum tomorrow 30 minutes earlier than normal, and they're asking guests to prepare for road closures and severe congestion in that area. Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales says the department can handle security, but other agencies are prepared to step in.
We have a great relationship with our surrounding jurisdictions, and they will be available to help us if need be. So we are in communication with the county sheriff, Sheriff Lucas, and our McLeod partners, which is Milwaukee County Law Enforcement Executives.
At the same time, state lawmakers are introducing a bill to require presidential or vice presidential candidates to pay any debts from campaign rallies before they are allowed to permit to host another in Wisconsin. The bill uses President Trump's $47,000 outstanding debt to the city of Eau Claire and $9,000 debt to the city of Green Bay from back in 2016 rallies as examples for why that legislation is needed.
And on the same day as the president's visit tomorrow, the Democratic presidential hopefuls will be debating on stage in Iowa. This debate will begin at 8 o'clock and is being hosted and moderated by CNN and the Des Moines Register. It is the final face-to-face gathering of the candidates before the February 3rd Iowa caucuses. For the first time in 7 years, the U.S. found itself in a $1 trillion hole. The federal government's budget deficit was released today by the Treasury Department. According to the data, the government spent $1 trillion more than it took in during 2019. That has not happened since 2012. The state Supreme Court will not take up the case involving more than 200,000 voters being purged from the rolls here in Wisconsin. That means the Court of Appeals will decide whether the purge should be put on hold while the case continues. This comes on the same day an Ozaukee County judge ruled the Elections Commission in contempt for not immediately removing those voters who didn't respond to mailers requesting they update their address. That means 3 of the 6 members of that commission will be fined $250 every time they don't comply with the order. And the commission itself will face a $50 fine every day the purge is put off. Assembly Republicans are trying to do something that hasn't been done in Wisconsin since 1985. That's override a governor's veto. Republicans want to override Governor Evers' veto of a bill that would have made it easier to become a nurse's aide in Wisconsin. State law currently requires training programs to run at least 120 hours. Federal regulations call for a minimum of 75 hours. The bill would have adopted a federal minimum as state law, and the governor vetoed the measure last year, saying he objects to reduced training for people who care for Wisconsin's most vulnerable citizens. 2 bills at the Capitol would limit your risk of radon exposure. One would require all new buildings in the state to be built with radon-resistant construction techniques. The other bill would require home sellers to provide the buyer with information on radon. Both pieces of legislation are similar to some in other states, but they were brought to Wisconsin with the help of a UW researcher who sees the effects this cancer-causing gas can have.
It's very difficult to treat cancer, especially advanced lung cancer. And if we have ways to prevent cancer, that in a lot of cases may be the best way to go.
Radon, a colorless, odorless gas, comes from uranium in the soil. It is also the 2nd leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. It is especially common here in the Midwest. Testing is not required in Wisconsin, but it is recommended by experts. The state superintendent of schools will not run for a full term in 2021. Carolyn Stanford Taylor was appointed to the position a year ago after Tony Evers left the job to become governor. She said in a statement today that she had promised the governor she would complete the term, which ends in July of 2021. Tonight, we're getting a look at the damage from Iranian missile fire at the base housing U.S. troops in Iraq and hearing from some of the troops on the ground. Now, this video shows the extent of damage to the Al-Assad air base in Iraq, targeted by Iran's retaliatory missile attack last week. U.S. troops hunkered down in bunkers while Iran avenged the death of its top general, Qasem Soleimani.
We huddled together and held one another. I still can't fathom that no one was hurt.
CBS News has confirmed the president authorized the strike that killed Soleimani as early as the summer if Iran crossed the president's red line of American deaths. Nearly 24 Saudi nationals are being expelled from the U.S. after last month's deadly shooting at a naval base in Florida. Today, Attorney General William Barr said the Justice Department had determined the attack was carried out by one person and that it was, in fact, an act of terrorism.
Early reports indicated that the shooter arrived at the site accompanied by other Saudi cadets who took video during the attack. These reports turned out not to be accurate. The shooter arrived by himself.
On December 6th, the gunman fatally shot 3 cadets on the grounds of the Naval Air Station Pensacola. Responding sheriff's deputies shot and killed the gunman, later identified as a member of the Saudi Arabian Air Force. He was in the U.S. for flight training. We are still waiting to get some damage estimates tonight after a house fire in Evansville has happened this evening. Multiple fire departments responded to this home on Liberty Street. First call came in about 4 o'clock. Crews on the scene say no one was inside at the time.
The city of Milwaukee says its murder rate is the lowest it's been in 5 years. According to Mayor Tom Barrett, in 2019, homicides dropped 33% compared to 5 years before. Last year, there were 97 homicides in Milwaukee. In 2015, that number was at 145. Millions of dollars in damage was done to the Port of Milwaukee this weekend after a storm pounded the shoreline with heavy winds and waves on Saturday. The port's director said they were able to partially reopen today, but a majority of the port remains unusable due to the damage. Gale force wind and 15-foot waves proved to be too much for the breakwall to handle. And in Pleasant Prairie, crews are trying to build back the land underneath the home that was destroyed by those massive waves off of Lake Michigan. With the calmer conditions today, crews dumped blocks of concrete into the dead space to try and build back the shore. The man renting it is now staying at a hotel as the home is inhabitable.
Crews in northwestern Wisconsin are still working to remove nearly 3 dozen train cars after a derailment last night. It happened about 20 miles west of Menominee. 35 cars in a 2-mile-long Union Pacific train went off the rails. 18 cars were involved in the pileup. The Menominee fire chief says none of the cars involved were carrying any hazardous materials, although other cars in the train were. No one was injured. And still to come at 10, your updated forecast for the rest of the work week.
WISC says fire crews battle the ongoing bushfires in Australia. Others are dropping a little help for the wildlife there. Stay with us.
For consistent, reliable storm tracking, watch First Alert Weather.
Madison Magazine's Winter Restaurant Week is just around the corner. You can get 3-course meals starting at $25 from some of the finest local restaurants. We have a list of 34 dishes to try on channel3000.com, along with a list of participating restaurants. Restaurant Week starts Sunday and runs through Friday, January 24th. Tickets for the UW-Madison Varsity Band Spring Concert are on sale right now. The 46th annual event is at the Kohl Center on April 16th through the 18th. This is the first year that Corey Pompey will be directing the band for the spring concert. Tickets are $35 for seating on the main floor, $25 for seating in all other sections, and $15 for UW-Madison students.
As crews continue to battle devastating wildfires in Australia, the government is now using food drops to help save starving wildlife. Helicopters dropping thousands of pounds of carrots and sweet potatoes into a national park where fires have burned the natural food sources. Those food drops will continue until officials are sure the animals can find their own food and drink. Some wildlife experts estimate up to 1 billion animals have died or have been impacted by the wildfires. Madison fire officials say a swan rescued from the ice on Lake Mendota yesterday afternoon has died from extremely high lead levels in its blood. A statement from the Humane Society's Wildlife Center says volunteers started treatment right away, but the swan didn't make it through the night. It goes on to say there is a silver lining in that the swan died in a warm, quiet place instead of suffering in the extreme cold.
A big deadline this week for someone who bought a winning lottery ticket in Wisconsin. An all-or-nothing ticket worth $100,000 was sold in July at a Citgo Food Mart in Menasha, and the winner now has until this Friday until it expires. Those winnings must be claimed in person at the Madison or Milwaukee lottery office or by mail.
Meteorologist Dana Fulton joining us now, keeping an eye on the weather for the rest of the week after the bumpy weekend and a little bit of ice under some snow. And
good word. A little bit of everything coming through this weekend, yes. And now we're looking at milder temperatures for tomorrow, but we have to get through another opportunity for some snow coming through tonight. In fact, the next few days are going to include a little bit of snow at times. So this active weather continuing. We get some snow, we get a break, we get a little more snow, we get another break. That's kind of on and off again through the rest of your work week. For tomorrow afternoon, yes, it is going to be a little milder outside, but that just means we're going to get a little melting and then a little bit of ice possible for early Wednesday morning. So not always a great thing when we climb above freezing in the afternoon and then everything freezes again. More snow possible for Wednesday and ahead for Friday. That gives us, again, a few breaks to get things cleaned up. There's still more snow coming through for the week. As we look ahead through the next several hours, again, things have been quiet through the evening. We're going to stay quiet, but we're starting to see that snow creep on in, and that means once we get closer to about 2, 3 o'clock, we have light snowfall in Madison, but it quickly dies down. If this band were moving a little slower, we'd be talking about higher accumulation totals, or if it were a little wider, but it's fairly narrow and it's moving through pretty quickly. So right now we do have some light snow along the western edge of the state. Most of that snow still coming down for Minnesota and Iowa. It's going to continue to push east, and as it does, of course, just bringing a little light snow, potentially a few freezing drizzle spots also heading into early on Tuesday morning. Mostly cloudy right now. Temperatures are staying very close to freezing, if not just a little below, near 30 degrees for much of the area. So a lot of us just looking at that flurry and light snow chance, but by 6, 7 o'clock, all of that is out of here. So no snow falling during your morning commute, but some isolated spots, the untreated areas or rural roads might be a little slick early on Tuesday morning with just a little bit of snow coming through. For Tuesday afternoon, we'll steadily become partly sunny. The sunshine should feel pretty nice with high temperatures in the upper 30s for Tuesday. Overnight, we are expecting skies to become mostly cloudy again, and we look ahead to Wednesday with another chance for some light snow. Most of that snow is going to stay north of Madison. You can see the center of that system there where all the wind is converging. It's going to continue to travel northeast, not bringing a lot of accumulation, but just a little bit, stretching up towards Camp Douglas and La Crosse. They'll see about an inch coming through. So for tonight, heading into Tuesday morning, accumulation totals are going to stay under an inch, with even lesser amounts for the southeast corner of the state along the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. About 1/4 of an inch or trace amounts possible. The same goes really around most of Dane County. We'll see some higher amounts towards La Crosse, where they've seen a little more steady, a little more consistent snowfall over the last few hours. Also just a little colder sort of thing falling has been sticking. But this isn't going to be a big event passing through at all. Just might be a little reminder in the morning to give a little extra time to take the broom out. Just make sure things get cleaned up before you head off to work. Tonight, temperatures falling to about 30, so close to where we're at now. Can't really say we're falling. We're going to hold pretty steady into tomorrow morning. For tomorrow afternoon in the upper 30s, our skies are going to become partly sunny. It's really going to be a mild January day, about a 10-degree jump from where we were at this afternoon. Upper 30s on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're looking at a chance for some showers. Light accumulation will be possible, though really not expecting much to come through on Wednesday. Thursday, a break. We're partly sunny, a little colder in the lower 20s. And then for Friday, a mix of some rain and snow in the afternoon, transitioning to all snow at night before ending on Saturday morning. Again, might see some light accumulation with that event. Next week right now does look fairly dry, but it's going to get a little colder. Those overnight low temperatures falling down to the single digits.
So this is just kind of freshening up the white, really.
Right. That's a good way to put it. Get things cleaned up and then just brighten it a little bit, like a highlighter.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana. Badgers with a new motto on how to attack the rest of their season. It starts with 17th ranked Maryland tomorrow night. We'll have that story next in sports.
News 3.
Okay, so the Big Ten is either going to be really fun this year or just one hot mess. Your choice of perspective. So these are your top 6 teams here. Michigan State, obviously at the top, but they lost to Purdue. Maryland then got beat by Iowa, and the Boilermakers and Hawkeyes, as you see, they're not even on this list. Now, Illinois, we know they beat Wisconsin and Rutgers as well. So not to sound trite, but it really is anyone's year this year. The Badgers are very much part of this whole mix here, but they've got to figure out a way to be consistent. And head coach Greg Gard says his players have come up with a way to do that. They have a little motto now on how they're going to attack teams one at a time.
Learn it, burn it, and turn it. In terms of learn what you had here, now we got to burn it and then turn the page. And whether it was something really good at Ohio State, something not so good against Illinois, something really good against Penn State, we'll learn from what we did well and what we didn't do so well, and then take that next step to prepare for Maryland and not worry about, I won't look at one single second of film of Michigan State until well after tomorrow night.
To the Packers now. So last night, Devontae Adams told us how a big part of the win was because of the experience of clutch players on the Packers. And he's not wrong about that. He's one of them, along with Aaron Rodgers and especially Jimmy Graham getting that first down late in the fourth quarter. Whew, that was a sigh of relief there. And those veteran guys, they've helped the younger players who haven't had that kind of postseason experience. But regardless of the years next to your name on the roster, everyone has treated each game as a chance to learn and get better.
We got a lot of vets on this team who've been to the playoffs and had experience, and, you know, just had them talking to us and give us their wisdom on how these playoff games go is, I think, helped us a lot and helped a lot of the young players on our team, too, to take this serious and know that, you know, everybody's going to give us their all, and every game is 100% effort and intensity.
We've had slip-ups, obviously. It hasn't been, you know, we're not undefeated, obviously. So I think just week in and week out, everybody in this locker room is kind of taking it game by game, going 1-0, learning from our mistakes, getting better.
Well, the national championship game in college football happening as we speak right now, so we can't show you the highlights, but because of that, here's a look at the Empire State Building in New York City. This is kind of cool. It'll change into the colors of LSU or Clemson depending on who scores. Right now, the LSU Tigers are up over the Clemson Tigers by 10 points. We'll be right back.
Dana trying to focus on the weather and focus on her Clemson Tigers at the same time, right?
It's a little stressful right now. If you marry a South Carolina man, you get tied into these things that you weren't supposed to get tied into.
Maybe you're better off at work right now.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm trying. I really am. Of course, we did have a bumpy weekend with the snow, and looking over the next few days, things seem a little steadier with the snow coming through tonight. It's going to be a lot less accumulation. Some light snow picking up around midnight into early tomorrow morning. Accumulation totals will be less than an inch. For Tuesday, we get partly sunny skies in the afternoon with high temps in the upper 30s. That means it'll actually be a little mild and comfortable for a January day. A little melting, though, so that means the refreezing of that could lead to some icy spots for Wednesday morning. Wednesday, we are expecting a little more light snow to come on through. Again, totals will be under an inch. Thursday, another break before a little more rain and light snow develops for Friday afternoon into Saturday for the weekend.
And thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Now.